Stephen Grizz Andrews and his wife Sue had spent the best part of 3 decades giving back to their community. The couple were known across their Idaho hometown of Pocatello for playing Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. But in 2021, the Good Samaritans got to accept the presents themselves for once. Just before the holiday season truly kicked in, Grizz and Sue were doorstepped by a local news crew eager to repay their generosity over the years. Reporter Nate Eaton brought along not just one but 2 Secret Santas to help out. And although the packages weren't particularly big, the contents inside were life-changing. As you'd expect, the charitable husband and wife team were left shell-shocked by both the surprise visit and the surprise gifts. But it was no doubt their turn to be on the receiving end of such kindness. The time and effort they dedicated to bringing their community such joy at Christmas time could melt even Scrooge's heart. Grizz began his journey to the festive Hall of Fame in 1994, when the town's resident Santa fell ill. Theo Anderson had inhabited the role for eons, but was forced to hang up his red suit when he discovered he had pancreatic cancer. Sadly, Theo passed away from the illness, but Grizz believes his predecessor is watching over him. Grizz soon proved he was the perfect man for the job, even if he did eventually require some assistance. Yes, for the first few years in the role, the town Santa was very much a solo artist. But then in the late 1990s, Grizz realized he could bring twice the festive cheer if his wife came along too. And although Sue acknowledges that it's been hard work, she wouldn't have it any other way. The couple continued their double act across the town of Blackfoot for a good decade. But in 2009, they decided to relocate to Pocatello. Sue and Grizz first proved their Santa Claus credentials at Gate City Elementary. This was a school attended by their granddaughter at the time. And although she knew the identity of the present-giving visitors, the youngster promised not to let the secret slip out to the rest of her classmates. The school visits proved to be such a success that Grizz and Sue soon bagged a gig at a Pocatello branch of Costco. In fact, the Andrews became so busy that their yearly bulk purchase of peppermint balls eventually ballooned to a whopping 240 pounds. Some teenagers who Grizz and Sue handed candies out to back in their early days now have kids of their own. And bringing things full circle, these new parents now bring their tots to see the town's festive favorites. For those not quite old enough to understand Einstein's work, Grizz and Sue try to find different ways to educate and engage at the same time. The couple are particularly keen to celebrate the power of books and will often read out some of their most cherished festive tales to their young audiences. Sue is quite the multi-talent. Not only does she spend most of the holiday season impersonating Mrs. Claus, she also finds the time to pen and provide illustrations for her own seasonal kids' tales. Unfortunately for the residents of Pocatello, Sue and Grizz weren't able to fulfill their usual festive duties in 2021. The couple were forced to leave their Santa suits in the closet due to problems with their health. But as long as they're fit enough, they intend to get back to their Christmas round in 2022. Grizz and Sue might not have been able to bring Christmas cheer to the residents of Pocatello in 2021, but the residents of Pocatello were thankfully able to bring Christmas cheer to them. And they asked a team from East Idaho News to help out with their heartwarming festive surprise, too. Reporter Nate Eaton began his piece to camera, explaining who Grizz was. He revealed that the generous guy was permanently disabled, but that his condition didn't stop him from helping the less fortunate in his community with his time and his handy expertise. Nate went on to say that Grizz's Good Samaritan efforts aren't just restricted to the festive season. He's often fixed faulty sprinkler systems in the summertime, for example. But of course, it's his and wife Sue's roles as Mr. and Mrs. Claus that will always be the most beloved among the Pocatello community. Viewers then got to see photos of Grizz and Sue in their homemade festive outfits, as Nate revealed they'd never accept payment for their Goodwill visits. The pair don't believe remuneration is in the spirit of the holiday season. Nate then told viewers some desperately sad news about one half of the husband and wife team. Yes, the reason why Grizz couldn't play Santa in 2021 was because he'd been diagnosed with cancer. Nate revealed he was about to surprise Grizz and Sue a gift donated by an anonymous benefactor in the area. And this wasn't just a box of chocolates or a pair of socks. It was a check for the sum of $15,000. Well, one check for $10,000 and the other for $5,000 to be precise. Grizz and Sue might be known best for their pre-planned visits to elementary schools. But they're also not averse to turning up at places I'm invited, either. Grizz joked, "When we find a party that's crash-able, we'll crash it." I don't like doing private parties just because I like the element of surprise. Sue put her hands to her mouth in shock and appeared on the verge of tears after seeing the second of the two large checks. She then reiterated the pair only carry out their charitable Christmas work for fun. But despite the fact they were both wearing their normal clothes, Sue and Grizz were still able to keep in character. Nate said, "For any kids watching, you're Santa's helpers, right? Deciding against shattering any Idaho kids' illusions." Grizz replied, "Yes, I get a report directly." After being asked to let the big man know the news crew stopped by, the big bearded man added, "You're not on the naughty list anymore, Grizz," then told Nate he hopes 2021 will be the last year he and Sue have to miss out on their annual festivities. The pair had also been forced to take a break in 2020 due to ill health and the pandemic. It was a sentiment viewers shared in the comment section once the clip had been uploaded to YouTube. One particularly enthused viewer took to the comment section to gush, "I absolutely love this couple. They are so cute and I'm not very social, but I just want to sit and talk to them for hours. I am so glad they have each other and that the world has them both." Several people admitted Grizz and Sue had restored their faith in the holiday season. One viewer wrote, "They are the real Mr. and Mrs. Claus with all they have done in bringing joy to others." Another remarked, "They genuinely seem like the sweetest people ever. I guess Santa does exist." And another YouTube user discussed what they think the Andrews will do and what they should do with the money. They wrote, "They have such a wonderful, positive energy about them. Something tells me the gift they received is going to go towards others. I hope they do something nice for themselves, too." Nate concluded the segment, "God bless you and Merry Christmas, and I hope that your Christmas is extra merry with the $15,000. And it turns out Nate is something of a real-life Santa Claus, too. Yes, the Andrews weren't the first Idaho natives to be visited by the Christmassy reporter. Anyone who allowed the YouTube video to run to the next would see Nate and the East Idaho News team gave another selfless husband and wife team a much-deserved gift. The Secret Santa segment appears to be a regular feature of the site's Christmas output. But for many elementary school kids, Costco shoppers, and hospital patients, Grizz and Sue's version will always bring the most cheer.